Thanks for staying with us tonight. We begin from the tourism sector, where the Tourism Development Fund, we understand, has generated an amount of 39 million Ghana cedis as of December 2017. That's according to the acting CEO of the Ghana Tourism Authority, Akwasi Agyemang. He says the fund is currently making a year-on-year growth of 10 to 15%. Bismarck Awusa has the rest of the story.
The Tourism Development Fund was established in October 2012 with contribution from the 1% levy on the services of tourism facilities, including hotels and restaurants. The aim is to support the development of the industry and ensure the quality of service provided meets acceptable standards. The Tourism Authority boss, Akwasi Agyemang, said the amount generated so far is being used to fund the tourism sector's investments.
We give out the information as it is. As of 2017, December, we have collected 39 million cedis throughout since its inception. And so currently we are doing an average of about 1.1, 1.2 million a month. But that is what we use to fund all the investments that we are trying to do, fund the training programs that we are embarking on, fund especially the marketing that we are doing. And so we are hoping that with a new technology that we are about to deploy, we'll be able to monitor well the collections that people make. As it is now, we are doing it manually. So people may collect, but they will have to remit. And so now we are moving to a point where we have an automated system and you cannot run away from what you've collected. We believe that even within the little effort that we've done, there's been some growth, 10%, 15% year-on-year growth, and we want to grow it more. That is what will make the changes that we anticipate.
In a related development, Mr. Agyemang said his outfit is looking at launching a website before end of July to sell Ghana's tourism to the rest of the world.
Now we have a portal that we are about launching, the visitghana.com, and that will become the one-stop shop for our tourism. We have a marketplace, we have deals that people can make, booking platforms for people to book hotels. And so we believe that we are getting to the point where the industry is trusting each other. There used to be a lot of mistrust between regulator and the operator. We've let them know and understand where we want to go. So we believe that once we can ease up the business environment, the operators, the hoteliers, the hospitality services, the restaurants, the choppers, everybody will be able to do good business, and it will create jobs and promote the country more effectively.
So talking about visitghana.com, how soon should we expect this launch?
We are launching end of July. It's ready, but we have to showcase to our operators, our stakeholders. That's one of the reasons why we are all going out on a retreat.
Bismarck Awusa's report for Joy Business.
Well, we are getting reaction from the president of the Ghana Hotels Association, Dr. Edward Agyemang, on the marketplace. He justified the Ghana Hotel Association's demand for a share of the proceeds of the tourism levy to help promote their developmental agenda. He spoke with the host, Emmanuel Boajeriafe.
It's simply to say that we have been collecting that tourism levy for the Ghana Tourism Authority, which is supposed to be used to develop the tourism sector. Now, much as we are interested in everything that the authority is doing with that money, in terms of marketing, tourism, in terms of infrastructure development, in terms of capacity building, we are also saying that they should also turn their eyes to the tourism trade industries, okay, or the tourism trade associations. We have about 25 so far trade associations under the umbrella of the Ghana Tourism Federation. Now, these are the associations that keep the industries running when it comes to tourism. Talk about the hotels, talk about the travel agencies, talk about the tour operators, talk about aviation, the restaurants, the shop bars. They are all involved in the trade. Now, these associations are not able to undertake a lot of their activities because of poor funding.
But before you continue, I mean, you have a lot of members. I mean, the hotels in Ghana are so many. Why is it that you can't raise revenue by yourselves and you want to depend on the tourism levy?
Emmanuel, there's an interesting phenomenon about voluntary associations. I'm sure you have encountered it in several ways. Okay. Now, when it comes to voluntary contributions, it's so difficult to get people to pay. I mean, simple deals, you're talking about 1,000 this year, 500 this year, and it's so difficult for people to pay.
They don't believe in your cause?
They do. They do, but sometimes I want to believe it's a Ghanaian thing or a human thing, that if you are not forced to do certain things, then it becomes a challenge.
Now, as part of enhancing intra-Africa trade and boosting tourism, Namibia's national carrier, Air Namibia, has recommenced its operations in Ghana. This is the second time the airline is entering the Ghanaian market after it exited in 2014 due to poor passenger numbers. Now, speaking to Joy Business at the inaugural flight ceremony, General Manager Commercial Services Xavier Masiu noted that the airline's return was also influenced by the current favorable business environment in Ghana.
The inaugural flight by Namibia's national carrier Air Namibia touched down at the Kotoka International Airport at around 8 p.m. last Friday. This is the second time the airline is pitching its services in the country after exiting in 2014. Speaking to Joy Business, General Manager for Air Namibia said the airline's return is based on the fact that there's a huge potential for air transport business in the country.
So we did a full market potential analysis, and the full potential analysis that we did indicates that it's a market which can be viable. It's still green, it's a virgin market. We need to develop it from scratch again. It will take a bit of time, 18 to 36 months, but when it reaches maturity, it will be a viable business proposition. They are all economic factors indicate that there is potential for a viable business proposition. If you look at the size of the population, the level of disposable income, and also the habits of the Ghanaian community. These are people who like to go on holiday. They look for new adventure, new destinations. They look for shopping. They look for medical services. All those things we have in our country. So we believe we will be able to attract them to Namibia, and that will be able to support our air transport services.
According to the Namibian High Commissioner to Ghana, the service is critical for intra-Africa trade.
What we have is that there's very little trade between our countries. Our intra-trade is less than 4% of the total trade. We trade more with outside world rather than with African countries. And this kind of arrangement is what we want to have so that we can trade more. We have now agreed that we want free trade in Africa. You may remember that there's an agreement that was signed in Kigali just a few months ago. There's also the arrangement of open skies. Now all those things come together through efforts like this. And ultimately, when they fly, as I said, when there are airlines flying, people can connect with each other.
The managing director for the Airports Company Limited, John Atifa, pledged support for the airline services in Ghana.
Air Namibia is resuming operations to Ghana at a time when our flagship project, Terminal 3, is almost completed, which, with a capacity of handling 5 million passengers a year. Terminal 3 promises to deliver the best of services to our cherished stakeholders. We hope that it will also provide airlines operating at KIA with the opportunity to either increase their frequencies or develop new routes to make Accra the hub of the West African sub-region. We wish to assure Air Namibia that we will provide them with the needed support for a smooth facilitation at KIA. And we are hopeful that this time around, they are going to be here for the long haul.
Air Namibia will be doing 4 flights a week from Accra through Lagos to Namibia. Sheila Tamaklu for Joy Business.
Well, so let's catch a flight to Sao Tome and Principe. With just a little over 27,000 population, the island has been described as a paradise when it comes to tourism in Africa. From breathtaking scenery, waterfalls, black and white sand beaches, it appears the small island nation has more up its sleeves. There is a new addition, Sandy Praia, which is believed to be another shining example to the African continent when it comes to tourism.
These are just but a few of the sights to behold when it comes to Sao Tome and Principe, a paradise for birders, fishermen and fascinating landscape. Although a small island, the travel and tourism sector in 2016 contributed 3.1% to its GDP and is expected to accelerate to 3.8%. Despite having its challenges, Sao Tome and Principe is poised on transforming the livelihood of its citizenry through tourism. The newest addition in Principe Island is the Sundi Pra Hotel and Development. The facility can boast of 15 luxurious rooms, a spa, and fascinating local cuisines. The facility is made of local building materials, mainly bamboo, and is said to be one of the most eco-friendly environments ever seen.
More and more, the travelers and the tourists, when they travel to one place, they want to discover that place in the essence. And they want to know what is really typical, what is really cultural, what is really authentic from the place. And I believe that it is a way that for us to show in Africa and share our culture and our values.
Aside the revenue, the sector has provided thousands of jobs for the locals. During the construction of the Sundi Pra, for instance, over 600% of the 7,000 Principe population were employed. Some locals were also trained in making beads from plastic materials.
So from the plastic we are developing blocks for construction that can be used in construction, which is a big achievement. In terms of the glass, there is a cooperative of women from Principe Island, and they are doing jewelry from the recycled glass, yes. And we also have a theme that is oriented to treat all the compost for the biodegradable waste, let's say, that we canalize that to a proper place and we give a good follow-up, a right follow-up, therefore.
General Manager of Sundi Pra Principe Island, Manuel Babosa, said Ghana has a lot to learn from Principe in making the country a tourist hub.
For the construction of the tents, we did not use concrete. So it is a kind of construction that can be 100% reversible. It means that if we want to remove the villas and the tents, the land and the forest will be impeccable, without concrete, without waste that will not be biodegradable, yes, and will not be absorbed by the planet.
In 2016, tourism contributed about 7.1% to Ghana's GDP, and Manuel believes there's a lot Ghana can pick from Principe and developing the sector without harming nature.
The perfect place for a vacation, isn't it? Well, back home in Ghana, the Ministry of Energy, in collaboration with the Energy Commission and supported by UNDP, has developed a renewable energy master plan to provide strategies for the advancement of renewable energy interventions by 2020. The ministry is encouraging companies to take full advantage of the policy environment being created by government to integrate solar energy into their service stations, electricity systems, as well as position themselves to provide solar energy solutions to the market. Deputy Minister of Energy, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, said this during the commissioning of the first solar power service station in Ghana by oil marketing firm Total.
This program is one of government's flagship initiatives aimed at transforming the energy landscape of our country and improving on energy access and creating opportunities for the private sector in particular. As of December 2017, Ghana achieved a total of 45 megawatts of installed renewable energy capacity. And this represents just 1% of our total installed electricity capacity. Our aim as a government is to achieve 10% renewables within the energy mix of our country. And so if we have 1% today, initiatives such as what Total Ghana has done will propel us to achieving the 10% we have set for ourselves as a strategy.
Meanwhile, the National Petroleum Authority says it is deeply concerned about the rate of illegal fuel activities in the downstream petroleum sector. Director of Human Resources at the NPA, Kojo Jackson, warned the activity is putting consumers at risk of purchasing low-quality fuel, denying government of huge revenue.
Any licensed petroleum service provider found to be engaged in any such activity will have its operating license suspended or permanently revoked. The NPA is also collaborating with the national security and other stakeholders to prepare comprehensive guidelines for confiscation and handling of any vessels, canoes, bulk road vehicles, and petroleum products involved or used in such illegal activities.
We are moving on Business Live. The time and cost of doing business at the ports could witness some significant improvement. This is because the number of joint inspection agencies at the country's ports are now expected to reduce from 16 to 3 from the beginning of this month. There is more in the following report.
The reduction in these agencies is taking off this month following several complaints from businesses on how the huge number of agencies is seriously affecting the cost and time of doing business at the country's ports. According to the Vice President, this is not acceptable, hence the need to enforce this directive.
And this will speed up the process a lot, because when you have 16 institutions doing a joint inspection and one doesn't show up, the inspection doesn't get complete. And you can imagine that is not normal, that usually one or two are not there on time, and it delays the process. But we've streamlined it, and so from July 1, you are kind of coming down from 16 to 3.
A lot of businesses had in the past argued that having to clear their goods with all these that have different exchange rates and the time taking is really increasing their cost anytime they have to use the Tema ports. There is the expectation that this move should improve the situation and address this concern. Let's hear from Group Chairman of Magdan Shipping, Dr. Daniel Macaulay.
Long overdue, but it's good. I mean, if the will is there, the political will is there, we all have to be glad about it and rejoice, because, I mean, you can see that the government is walking the talk, and we have to commend the government for walking the talk.
Well, it's believed that this move could go a long way to reduce the cost of operations of most industries and businesses, a development that could go a long way to reduce the rate at which prices of goods are increasing, or let's say a possible reduction.
In other news tonight, Chief Operating Officer of Rana Motors, Kasem Odumat, has attributed the influx of lower-grade spare parts in the Ghanaian market to the porous nature of check-in systems at the country's ports. He explained Ghana does not have certified spare parts dealers, which leads to the sale of cheaper spare parts to the detriment of their business. He made this known at a roundtable discussion on spare parts and lubricants organized by the Dubai Chamber of Commerce in Accra. Fauziatu Adam has more in this report.
The roundtable discussion organized by the Dubai Chamber of Commerce brought together dealers of spare parts across the country. The Chief Operating Officer of Rana Motors called on government to put a system in place to avoid the influx of cheaper grade spare parts.
The biggest problem we have as manufacturers represented here in this country is the systems and the trust to give a dealership to someone. Because today you come, you say, okay, you're going to service this car. Those are the spare parts you need to use. This is the lubricants you need to use. This is the grade, this is everything. The next thing you see, when you visit him the next month, he has bought spare parts from somewhere because it's cheaper. He has brought lubricants from somewhere else because it's cheaper and lower grade. He's servicing the car that the customer has bought. He's making more money because he has bought less expensive spare parts or lower grade spare parts. And at the end of the day, he is affecting your image as a brand.
On his part, the chairman of Abusokai Spare Parts Dealers Association, Joseph Paddy, expressed shock as to why there is an influx of fake products into the system even after the Ghana Standards Authority has checked the items before they hit the market.
There's ISO standard. Yes. We talk to other standard authorities and they tell us that they have the standard. But we don't know how come those oils still go through there. So it's like my brother from the system is not working. Something is wrong somewhere. Yes, because we have standard authority at the port, of entry, they are supposed to check all this. And before you realize, you see reconditioned oil. I don't know how it works. You see, yeah, that's the challenge.
Head of Dubai Chamber Ghana office, Cyril Dakwa, mentioned that this roundtable was organized to enable the smooth trade of spare parts between Ghana and Dubai.
Over the last few years, non-oil trade between Ghana and Dubai has increased steadily to reach over $1 billion in 2017. This growth has been supported by the expansion of direct flights between Ghana and the UAE, high-level visits from both sides, and the fact that a number of UAE companies have established a presence in Ghana. As of the last time we counted, there were about 55 Dubai companies established in Ghana, and this number is definitely increasing at a very, very fast pace.
The roundtable is expected to bring sanity into the spare parts industry and see more mechanics trained in the use of technology to carry out their duties.
With the refurbishment of the newly equipped seed cold storage facility at the Crops Research Institute, farmers are now assured of uninterrupted supply of quality seeds. Director of the Institute, Dr. Stella Ama-Enin, believes the facility will provide a boost for government's Planting for Food and Jobs program, as well as a One District and One Factory initiative. Lava FM's Kwesi Deborah reports.
Breeder seed forms the basis for production of certified seed. The absence of cold storage facility for these seeds spells doom for Ghana's agriculture, food security and crop productivity in the medium to long term. The facility, built many years ago, has stopped functioning, which affected the Institute's ability to support supply of various breeder seeds. USAID's Feed the Future Ghana Agriculture Technology Transfer therefore rehabilitated and refurbished all the non-functional refrigeration equipment. They include new electrical wiring and power supply layout, a 30% height increment, re-roofing and a standby generator. Dr. Ama-Enin assures of constant supply of breeder seeds to research institutions in the 3 northern regions.
So when you go to town and you go to a shop and you see some maize packed in a rubber being sold by a farmer, that's a certified seed. There is no way they could have produced it without coming for breeder seed and foundation seed from us. And that is the role that this facility is playing. So very critical in the seed system, very critical in the food security chain.
And the evolution and Chief Party of the ATT project, Dr. Gary Mullins, is optimistic the facility will improve access to certified seed and increase crop yield. He stressed the importance of public-private partnership in ensuring food security.
Certain components of the food production system are too large, and they're actually too vitally important to national security to have them be the exclusive domain of the private sector. So this cold storage facility is an excellent example, because it's here that the very precious breeder and foundation seed, those seeds which go on to become certified seed, which is what farmers plant and the country depends upon for its food supply, that needs to be safeguarded as a public public managed facility. But at the same time, distribution of food, the actual production of it, marketing, those kinds of downstream activities really are not of a nature that they're easily managed efficiently by government. So we relegate those to the private sector, and that markets express their demand, and private production supply the types of products that the public wants.
Reporting for JoyNews, Kwesi Deborah.
Public funding can be used.
The Students' Loan Trust Fund is taking measures to help improve the repayment of loans. The trust has struggled in recovering loans from beneficiaries. To this end, managers are looking at relying on technologies like mobile money to deal with this problem. Chief Executive Officer of the Student Loan Trust Fund, Kwekwe J. Boy, is hopeful that this development will help sustain the scheme.
The ceremony was to acknowledge Asa Savings and Loans and GN Bank as the two firms who have complied with the Students' Loan Trust Fund Act 820. The role of employers and institutions as stipulated in Section 24 of the Students' Loan Trust Fund Act 2011, Act 820, was used to track repayment compliance by the institutions with beneficiaries of the trust under their employment. CEO of the Students' Loan Trust Fund is Nana Kwekwetie.
We've put in a lot of strategies in place to, first of all, rebrand the fund. We want the fund to be more visible so that people know the existence of the fund and to patronize it. Whilst we're doing that, we are also trying to aggressively recover because the long-term sustainability of the fund depends on how much we recover.
He also urged more firms to assist in retrieving monies back from beneficiaries.
We want all the companies, to make sure we comply with that law. So if a student after graduation comes to work with you, and we are also appealing to those in private sector as well, you have to find out if they are beneficiaries.
All right, let's do our interview of the day. Before we go, the Chamber of Telecommunications has distanced itself from disparities in pricing by various telecom companies under the mobile money interoperability platform. Months after the launch of the platform, concerns have been rife over the distortion of prices paid by users of mobile money. But speaking to Joy Business, CEO of the Telecoms Chamber, Ken Ashbe, argues that the Chamber has no power to regulate pricing.
We need to make sure that there are not layers, but the policymakers and the regulators themselves are coordinated together to ensure that we do all of this together to achieve what it is that we want to do so that Ghana can progress.
All right, quickly, sir, if you may, this issue about the interoperability, we have been following it up very closely. And one of the main challenges that was raised was the distortion in the pricing, and the disparity. We spoke to Gibbs on this, and they are saying that there should be a meeting between the telcos, the chamber, and themselves.
Do you want a cartel? Do you want a cartel in Ghana? Competition should be able to determine how the various members charge. So I think there's a framework that has been agreed, and basically for our industry, we don't.
And well, thanks for watching our program tonight. There's more news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Darryl Carr. Thanks for watching. We're back same time tomorrow.